Bless Squad, what's going on with y'all, man? It's your boy, Blessed Applesauce here to bless y'all with another video here on Blessed to Invest. And today we are talking about index funds. The greatest investment you can ever make is index funds. I preach about this a lot on the channel about investing in an index fund, And I want to let y'all know in on a secret. Are you ready for the secret? First off, hit the like button. That's the first secret. Hit the like button on this video. But the secret is, this is probably the only video that you will need in your entire investing career. If you just want to be a simple investor, an easy investor, not do anything too crazy, this is going to be the only video that you will ever need to watch. Forget all the other YouTubers. This is the only video you need. If you watch this video and follow these steps, in the next 10, 20 years, you're going to be set up good. So make sure you watch all the way to the end, spam the like button, and let's get into it. I'm really excited for this one. So, what are index funds? Index funds are a fund that is a basket of stocks. You're buying a collection of stocks and getting a little small piece of each one. So if you're looking at, let's say you're looking at Apple or Google, or you're looking at Amazon. Amazon is like $2,000. Apple's like $150 right now. Google's up there a couple $1,000. Microsoft is a couple $100. Instead of going out and buying one share of each of those companies, you can just buy an index fund, and it's going to give you a small basket of a little piece of each of those companies. You're going to get a fraction of those top great names that you're looking for in the index. And with an index, there's going to be a lot of different types of index. So you can have like a large cap stock index where you're just buying. It has a basket of large companies. You can have a small cap index where you're buying just small companies. You can have an index where you're buying international stocks, where you're buying like European companies and Japanese companies, stuff like that. Or you can have an index where it's buying maybe like a tech sector, or a gold sector, or a material sector, or something like that. So what an index is, all it's doing is buying a small fraction of each company in that given group. Like I said, like a small cap, a large cap, or whatever it may be. It depends on the type of index that you're buying. So with that being said, let's get into the best ones that you can buy. So because these are the best ones. Like if you do this very simply. You don't need to worry about what Apple's doing on the day. You don't need to worry about what this company's doing or how the market's performing, because you know overall you're going to be diversified. I know y'all hear that word a lot: diversify. And index are going to give you that diversification in your portfolio, so you can weather the storm. If one company's doing a little poor, you have that other basket of stocks that are doing pretty well. On top of that, the fees are a lot lower. It's going to be really cheap fees to get in, so you're not paying an arm and a leg, some managers to do it, manage your portfolio and make mistakes and ruin your account and stuff like that. And on top of that, a lot of times it's like 70% of managers don't do as well as indexes. So really your best bet is getting in one of these indexes, calling it a day, buying it consistently, and congratulations, I just saved your retirement. You made a retirement fund and you're good, you're set for life. Simple as that. So let's get into the exact indexes that you need to get into. These are my top 5 lists. I got a list here of all of them that you need to get into. So the first one we're gonna look at is the SPY. The SPY, I talk about this all the time on the channel. Buy the SPY and your account will never die. It is the overall market. It's the S&P 500 index. And what it does is track the top 500 companies in the overall market. This is the US market. So you're gonna get your big names, you're gonna get your big Apple, you're gonna get your Tesla, you're gonna get your Microsoft, you're gonna get your Amazon. It's gonna give you the top 500 companies in the market, the biggest ones. So let's say Apple, whatever, for some reason Apple is no longer the top 500 company. It is immediately gonna kick Apple out, and let's say, I don't know, Robinhood steps in. Robinhood's doing a good job, and then all of a sudden they move into the top 500. So immediately it's going to switch that Apple out, Robinhood in. So that's how the S&P 500 works. It's just going to give you the top 500 companies. And what this particular fund does, it's not exactly those top 500 companies, but it's going to track it as accurately as possible. So all this thing is going to do, you're going to have a little small piece of Apple, a little small piece of Microsoft, and you're going to be good. On average, this thing makes about 7% returns on average. Last year, it did like 30%, which was crazy. But on average, you're going to get about 7%, and you can't go wrong with that. Love this type of index fund here. The one thing that I do see as a downside, potential downside, and we are going to look at this when we're looking at different type of indexes. This one does have an expense ratio of 0.09%. So it is going to take, if you put $10,000 in, it's going to take $9 out of your account every year for managing your money in that way. So be on the lookout for that. But all these funds, well, most of these funds on the list are going to take like a small fraction, but in comparison to any mutual fund, Roth IRA account, stuff like that, $9 off of 10, when you put $10,000 in is nothing. It's nothing. And you can go in with this buy is minimum $1. You can buy this thing on Robinhood if you want to, and go on with a fraction share. So just so you can get a taste of the market. So I really like this one. This is the number 5 on my list. Next one we're going to look at. This one is the Schwab International Index Fund. I really like this one. The reason why I put this on the list is because I believe it's very important to have some type of international exposure. Americans, we are not the only ones in the world that produce stuff. We're not the only ones in the world that have companies. We're not the only ones in the world that have great companies. So I think it's very important to have an international exposure where you can have companies outside the US, because let's say in the next 10, 20 years, the US isn't performing as great as it could. Wouldn't it be great to have some Chinese companies or some European companies or some Japanese companies? And that is what this index fund does. The ticker symbol is SWISX. I know it's kind of long, but a lot of these names on here are kind of long. But this is the Schwab International Fund. Really great. What this thing does is track the emerging markets index fund. So you're gonna be holding on to stocks that are in those emerging market fund. So usually most of the stocks in this index are going to be European and Japanese for right now as of this video, but over time it may switch, similar to how the S&P 500 is going to kick companies out as they're doing poorly, bring new companies in as they're doing a little better. Same thing with this fund. It's going to constantly move around as companies are beginning to rise or fall, whatever, and you're going to get exposure to those type of companies. So right now it's a lot of European companies in there, a lot of Japanese companies, but getting in that, you can get exposure to different type of companies, which I think is amazing. Even if you don't, let's say you have $10,000. If you put 2 grand into this particular index here, and then maybe put the rest 8 into the other indexes, I think you're in a good position, because you have a little bit exposure to other countries, and then you have most of your money in the U.S. market. So it's the best of both worlds. I really like it. Really great fun. And then last but not least, it's a really cheap fund that you can get into. It's not going to cost you a lot. Similar with the S&P 500, the SPY one. It's not going to cost a lot to get into this one. It's going to be really cheap. Same with the rest of these on this list. It's not a minimum to get into this one. I know a lot of brokerages have like a minimum of like 3,000 for you to get into that. Nobody wants to deal with that. We want cheap funds we can get into for low cost and are going to give us great returns. So definitely look into that one, the Schwab International Index Fund. All right, so the next one we're going to look at. This one I really like, and I just like this company as a whole. Like, great brokerage, love the brokerage, love the platform, love the customer service. And this one is the Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund. So what this thing is going to do is going to give you a basket of all the companies in the overall market. You're going to get a small piece of those overall companies. And this is important because in general, the market goes up. Most of these companies are trending upward. Most of them are going up. They're in the upward direction, and they're slowly trending up over the year. So you getting exposure to all these companies, you are able to ride out the highs and the lows. You're not going to be beat up too bad. Let's say one of these companies does terrible. Of course, you're going to have your Apples and your Amazons that do really great to bring up some of the losses, and on average you're going to slowly creep up. On top of that, this fund is free. There are no fees involved with this fund. How in the SPY there is a 0.09% fee. For this one, there's absolutely nothing. That's the thing I like about Fidelity. They're not going to be charging their customers anything to get into their funds. So it's free to get into this one. You get no minimums. You can put how much you want in there, and then you get exposure to this fund slowly over a period of time. It's going to slowly increase as the market begins to increase. So I really like this fund. So you're getting the best of all three worlds. You have your top 500 companies in the SPY. Then you have your international fund where you have exposure to emerging markets in the European and Japanese world countries. And then you're getting exposure to the overall market where as it trends up slowly, you're going to get a return on that as well. So that's number 3, a couple of my favorites. So let's get into this number 2. You're wondering, like, we kind of hit most of the bases here. Like, what's left? We got a little bit of the overall market. We got a little bit of the international. We got a little bit of the top 500 companies in the world. Like, what's next? And this one is the QQQ. I like QQQ. QQQ is the Investico fund. I like this one because it tracks the NASDAQ. Unlike the SPY, where it's tracking the top 500 companies, this one is going to track the NASDAQ, and it's going to track the top 100 companies instead. So you're going to get the top 100 companies. You're going to track that. And with this, I say it's a little bit better because you're cutting out those bottom 400 companies. The returns are going to be a little bit better. On top of that, this is the best returning fund over the past 12 years. And it makes sense because you have the top 100 companies. You're just taking the cream of the crop, getting in those, and you can see from the track record here, it's the best performing fund out of all of them. Out of the past 12 years, is the best performing fund. So you can see, just take that. Maybe you don't need to get into the SPY. Maybe you just want to do this one. You want to do this one. Maybe you want to do an emerging markets one, and then you want to do the overall market. That works perfectly. It's up to you. You really have to decide like where you want to go with this, how you want to balance it out for you. But I really like this one because it's one of the best returning, and it is you're getting the cream of the crop for your money. On top of that, I do have to mention that it is a small fee. It has a 0.02% expense ratio. So on the year, you're going to be paying $2. If you put $10,000 into your account, you're going to be paying $2. Everybody has $2. $2 off of 10 grand, like, you're going to make this money back, no problem. It's going to be fine. So with these expense ratios, I just really want to let y'all know to be aware of that. But really, in comparison to what managers charge you, this is absolutely nothing. Someone charging you $2 a year, that's nothing. You can buy chips or something. You spend more money buying chips. So $2 is nothing. You can get away with this. On top of that, there's no minimum on this fund, so you can get in with $1 if you really want to. So really look into this fund. This is one of my personal favorites on this list, the QQQ, and as we can see, it is the best returning fund that we've had. It beats everything. It should be number 1, but you're going to see number 1. You're going to really like this one too. All right, so last but not least, number 1 is another Fidelity. We got to go back to Fidelity. I'm loving Fidelity. I need to be sponsored by Fidelity if y'all watching this. This is the Fidelity Zero Large Cap Index. And this one, the ticker symbol for this one, another long one, is FNLX. This one is very similar to the SPY, but it's a little bit better. So the reason why I like this one, and it's number 1 in comparison to the SPY. So what they're similar with, it's going to track the S&P 500. It's going to give you the top 500 companies in the world, and they're just going to track that. The thing that is different between the SPY and this one, the Fidelity Zero Index, is one, the name. You know, Fidelity got to make their money and make a name that sounds a little better, more glamorous, so it sounds a little different. But the one thing that's different is there's no expense ratio. So with the SPY, you're going to pay $9 on the year if you have 10 grand in there. With this one, it's absolutely nothing. You pay zero, no expense ratio, so that's great. And on top of that, there's no minimums to get into this one. So you can go in with as little as $1 with this fund. And I really like this one for Fidelity. I just want to stay on Fidelity for a little bit because the way they're setting up their brokerage firm, it's great for new investors. It's kind of like a Robinhood where you go in with as much money as you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to worry about any fees, stuff like that. And I really think in the future, we're starting to see a trend in that direction where brokerage firms are starting to get away from commissions. They're starting to get away from fees. And I think Fidelity is leading the pack here with their two funds that we just mentioned, their total market index fund and then their large cap index fund. They're getting into a way where in the future, we may not be paying fees for a lot of this stuff. It can just be automated and everybody live good because we don't have to worry about that. So that's my number one index on this list here. Just to go over it real quick, number one is going to be the Fidelity Zero Large Cap Index. Great, tracks to S&P 500, zero fees, zero commissions, 000 across the board, easy to get into, nice and cheap. Next one is the QQQ Invesco. That tracks the top 100 companies in the market. Small fee, small yearly fee, but really easy to get into. Next one is going to be the Fidelity Zero Market Index Fund. That one just tracks the overall market, all the companies in the market. Really easy, you're just going to get a consistent growth. Next one is that Schwab Index Fund, International Fund, where you're going to get a little bit of these emerging markets around the world so you can get a little extra exposure to them. And then last but not least, the good old tried and true, the SPY, buy the SPY, your account will never die. So let me know down in the comments what you think about the list. Again, do your research on each one of these because they're all great. Like if you want to get into two of these or one of these, I highly recommend it. They're all great. They all are going to get you consistent returns. They're all diversified. And they're all great funds simply just to get into, put your money in for that passive investor out there that wants to invest their money for the next 10, 20, 30 years in their portfolio. But let me know down in the comment section down below if there's anything you would change on this list. Are there any funds that you like? Maybe you don't like the funds I'm in, the index funds. Maybe you have one that's like really good, no fees, no minimum, blah, 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 got great returns. I don't think you do, but we'll see. We'll chop it up in the comment section. And let me know down below. And also you can hit me up on my social medias as well for YouTube videos and recommendations that y'all want to see. But that's going to wrap it up. This has been your boy, Blessed Applesauce. Stay blessed. And I'm going to see y'all next time on Blessed to Invest.
Just to see tomorrow is a blessing. Stay prayed up is the message. Everything about a nigga blessed. Everything about a nigga.